Pokemon Go has announced that Mega Sceptile, Mega Swampert, and Mega Blaziken are going to be debuting in Pokemon Go as part of a Mega Raid Day event on December 3rd, and then likely their Megas are going to be in rotation after that. To add, Mega Salamence and Mega Glalie were also recently found in the Pokemon Go's game traffic, so it is expected that those two Megas will be coming to the game soon as well. And then finally, Pokemon Go has announced their Hoenn Tour Event in February, which features the Primal Reversions, which are like Mega Evolutions of Groudon and Kyogre. So with all these Megas floating around and coming out in the game, I figured it'd be a good time to make a video talking about these Megas specifically and their use in the raid and PvP metas. Why the PvP metas? Well, because at the end of this season of Mythical Wishes, it's going to end with a Mega Master League meta. So some of these Megas may be better than the King, Mega Gyarados, for the Mega Master League Brawl. At any rate, let's get into it. So to kick things off, we got the Fire-type Pokemon Mega Blaziken. And Mega Blaziken has higher DPS than Mega Charizard Y. So clearly, Mega Blaziken is the better of the two Megas. However, if you sort it by ER here, which is the equivalent rating, you can see that Mega Charizard is ever so slightly ahead of Mega Blaziken thanks to its higher TDO. Overall, I'd say as a Fire-type raid Mega, these guys are on equal footing. Maybe if you get some extra resistance advantage by going with Mega Charizard, that one will most definitely be a bit better. By the way, if you're wondering what this equivalent rating is all about, it's the same thing as DPS to the third power times TDO. As far as the sort is concerned, it would sort the Pokemon the same way. It's just that the numbers are different. It takes that same value and puts it to the power of 1/4. The idea being is that it makes it easier to eyeball the relative power of a Pokemon to another species, where before the DPS to the third power times TDO could give a false perception of just how much better or how much worse something is. So the rankings are basically the same. They're going to be in the same order, but the integer values here are a little bit nicer to eyeball for, figuring out what their equivalent kind of rating is. If you want more details on this, there's a Reddit post that goes over this whole theory. I'll have it linked in the description for you. Next up, we have Grass-type Pokemon with the Mega Sceptile. And Mega Sceptile is extreme. Not only does it have a higher ER than Mega Venusaur, right? So it's very good, but it has higher DPS than Kartana even. Kartana's got insane Grass-type DPS, better than literally everything else, except for Mega Sceptile. So I think it's pretty safe to say, barring any major mechanic changes to the game, Mega Sceptile will be the best Grass-type raid attacker for all time. Other cool note with Mega Sceptile too is it's now a sub-Dragon-type Pokemon. Grass and Dragon-type Pokemon, so it's got even more resistances to bring to the scene as a Grass-type raid attacker. So pretty cool. And I guess that also works for, trying to get the XL candy bonus off the Mega level for Dragon Pokemon as well. Mega Sceptile is also eligible for that. And then finally, we have the Mega Swampert, which is on top once again for Mega Water-type Pokemon, beating out the Mega Gyarados, beating out the Mega Blastoise, even with the DPS and the ER ratings beating them out, and also beating out the Primal Kyogre. Now, this is Primal Kyogre with Surf, not with Origin Pulse. Right now, it hasn't been announced if Primal Kyogre is going to have Origin Pulse or not, but if it did get the OG Origin Pulse as it is in the game right now, then Primal Kyogre would outpace Mega Swampert in terms of DPS. But other thing to keep in mind is that if you have Mega Swampert, then you can get the XL candy bonus for it being a Mega Pokemon for both the Primal Kyogre and the Primal Groudon raids in the future. So overall, I think we can consider Mega Swampert to be pretty ubiquitous here. I think it's also the second ground-type Mega evolution we have. We already have the Mega Steelix, right? But this Mega is actually pretty useful in raids in its own right compared to Mega Steelix, which is just a candy bonus stick, basically. So yeah, Mega Swampert, pretty hype. And then here right away we can see how Primal Kyogre is going to perform, and it's very, very powerful, right? Not as good as the Mega Swampert without that Origin Pulse, but with it, clearly the best Water-type Mega evolution, or Primal Reversion in this case, which is effectively the same thing, right? Speaking about being a ground-type Pokemon here, Mega Swampert is our best current ground-type Mega evolution for raids as well. We got Primal Groudon in the future, and Mega Garchomp somewhere out there in the future too, but Mega Swampert, as it stands, is the is one of the best ground type raid attackers around until those boys come out. So very useful Pokemon overall for raids. You can also see here that Mamoswine is showing up all of a sudden, and yeah, that's because it's getting high horsepower with the Season 13 update here, which makes Shadow Mamoswine and Mamoswine two of the better ground type raid attackers in the game, which is pretty nice for roll compression because they're both very good ice type raid attackers as well. And then Mamoswine in general is pretty solid in the Master League meta and is a non-legendary option, so a little bit easier to get the good IVs on in XL compared to other, Pokemon for the Master League there. So pretty cool highlight for the Mamoswine. Some new toys for our big Mamo friend here. Speaking of Ice-type Pokemon, we also have the Mega Glalie coming up in December, I believe. And yeah, it is the best Ice-type Mega Evolution, period. Higher DPS than the Mega Abomasnow and higher ER than the Mega Abomasnow. It's not to say that Mega Abomasnow is bad, it's still pretty good, and it also gives a bonus to Grass-type Pokemon as well. If you're fighting a legendary Pokemon that is Grass-type, then you can use this Pokemon to fight it and get the Mega XL Candy bonus thing going on. So Mega Abomasnow still has a place in this world. Just know that Mega Glalie's got a bit more DPS, a little bit more damage going on than our friend Abomasnow. And then finally we have Mega Salamence, which has the hilarious condition of having lower DPS than the Shadow Salamence, right? But Mega Salamence still does give like the mega damage bonus to your allies, so if you're fighting with Dragon-type Pokemon in raid, everybody's fighting with Dragon-type Pokemon in that same raid, well then it's going to boost all the Dragon-type Pokemon. Overall, I still feel like Mega Altaria is the most useful overall Mega for Dragon-type using, raid encounters, because it boosts both the Fairy-type Pokemon and the Dragon-type Pokemon, and it lasts in those fights typically a bit longer, so it boosts everybody for longer, which contributes to the overall team DPS more. But Mega Salamence is really freaking cool, and it's good, so like, who's complaining if you bring Mega Salamence to the Dragon-type raid, right? So yeah, Mega Salamence is pretty cool. So to the surprise of nobody, all the new Mega Evolutions are good in raids, as Megas typically are. But how good are these newcomers going to be in the Mega Master League meta? So here I've got basic kind of PvPoke 1-1 shield situation thing, using the current good Megas and the new Megas that are coming in, and then also Mega Charizard Y because I believe in it, right? At any rate, you can see here with the win record here in the 1-1 shield situation, Mega Swampert is having as many wins as Mega Gyarados is, which is pretty impressive. However, I will say overall, I do think Mega Gyarados is still going to be the king of this meta, because a lot of Mega Swampert's wins are going to be based off of landing the Earthquake. That said, Mega Swampert could have some devastating situations in the game. If an opponent's swap locked in, you can mud shot them down, and now you can reach like an extra Earthquake or reach that Earthquake that much sooner. So I think that there will be some impressive dynamic situations going on with the Mega Swampert. It's just off the cuff, I don't think it's as impressive as what the Mega Gyarados can do here. Then we have the Primals here, which are kind of coming up a little bit short compared to the other Megas that are featured. I mean, obviously Kyogre is going to have a hard time standing out compared to Gyarados and Swampert, because they're water types, they get the water type resistances, they do water type damage, but they also do a lot of other coverage things pretty quickly compared to Kyogre, who's pretty slow and steady, eats spaghetti. But I think Primal Groudon has some interesting stuff going on here. It does have lower wins, but when it comes to Pokemon that are meant to counter the Mega Gyarados, such as the Zarude and the Zacians, and then also like Fairy type Pokemon, like, where are you? Togekiss. Like Togekiss, right? Well, the Primal Groudon is the only one that can manage those, like, 3 types of Pokemon fairly consistently. And if Primal Groudon does get ahead a bit on the energy race there, it can close out against the Mega Gyarados using big Earthquakes. And if it gets its signature attack, Precipice Blades, and if Precipice Blades is better than Earthquake, which I think it is currently slotted to be, but we've got a couple months before that happens, so... And given how interesting signature attacks have been lately, I don't know if it's reliable, right? But as it stands with just the Earthquake and the Fire Punch, the Primal Groudon is looking pretty dynamic there. So as far as the newcomers are going, I'd say the Mega Gyarados, Mega Swampert, and the Primal Groudon are all looking pretty spicy. So my overall impression is that Mega Gyarados is still probably on top as the best option for the Mega Master League meta, but I think Mega Swampert and Primal Groudon bring enough unique kind of tools to the meta, especially if the meta is kind of focused on the Mega Gyarados, where they can pull ahead. The other Megas and the Primal Kyogre, on the other hand, I don't think stand out nearly enough to make waves in this Mega Master League meta. Not that they're like bad Pokemon, and they're still really good for raids, so you're going to want them anyways. But if you're going to XL one to try to play the Mega Master League meta, well, these ones here are probably ones that are going to be it, barring the Primal Kyogre, and barring any last-minute moveset changes and stuff like that. So that's all I gotta say about the new and upcoming Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Go. If you got any questions on this content, of course, comment below, let me know what's up. I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. A, B, C, D, E, F, G... Where the fuck is Groudon? Oh, it's gonna be with a P.